Orca Lattice and Jacqueline.com is an online store that sells trades authentic luxury watches. We make these videos so our customers can easily choose the best watch for themselves in the comfort of their own home. If you like this watch or would like to purchase it at the lowest price anywhere online, click on the link in the description below to buy it at Jacqueline.com. Today, I will be reviewing the Audemars Piguet Code 1159 self-winding chronograph in rose gold with a green dial, reference 26393OR.OO.A056KB.01. I'll tell you a little bit about the history of the code, then tell you about where this watch stands in the lineup below it, other similar codes, then tell you about the case bezel of recent movement, fairly childonic my thoughts. So let's start with the history. The code is Audemars Piguet's newest collection, coming out in approximately 2017 or 18, and that when it came out, it was not the most beloved collection, and that, of course, title belongs to the Royal Oak and probably the offshore after the next concept. But at the time, in 2017 and 18, Audemars was in the middle of getting rid of the rest of their collections, such as their jewels, Audemars, as well as their millinery and some other lines that were not selling well for them. And it was the first time in quite a while they had a fully circular watch. And so the code was that answer to the circular watch that AP had to have. 85% of the watches in the world are circular, and so it would only make sense that AP, Audemars Piguet, would have a circular watch. And they did so in a very nice way, which I'll describe you when I start talking about the watch itself. Okay, that's a little bit about the history. Now, they've released it in, it can be broken down in different categories, which is time and gate only, number one. Number two, chronograph. Then it would be perpetual calendar, minute repeater or grand sonnerie, basically the same thing, more or less. And then there's some open work ones and some other specialty ones. But basically that's what it is. Oh, and on tourbillon. What you'll look at here is a chronograph that calculates elapsed time. And since its inception, now we are in 25, well, that's 7-8 years later, they've got on to have a second generation of chronographs. So what you're looking at is the 2023 release, or it might even be 24, I forgot, release of the code in chronograph. It differs from the previous chronograph in that a few things, which I'll go through when I start talking to you about it, but suffice it to say, this is the newest one. It's the latest and greatest. It comes in this color. Several other colors actually be made in gold and steel. And what you would get here to see is gold, rose gold, that is. They also make it in a blue dial. I believe that's it for, oh, and they also make it with a black dial. Right. Black dial, blue, and green, which makes sense. They do their Royal Oaks also in the same color. So they also do the scale and probably in white gold as well. But anyways, okay, this is a new style, the second generation chronograph, if you will. All right, so now I'll start talking about the watch itself, and I'll tell you about which parts differ from the previous generation. So let's start with the case. The case is rose gold, and nothing has changed on the case. The case was beautiful in the beauty. It's always been beautiful, and it still is. But what makes it special is that not only is it circular, in that AP did not make any circular watch before. They were known for their Royal Oak. The middle case, though, is what makes this circular watch special, because in this center case, the middle case, the part that houses and holds the movement, it actually looks like an octagon or like a Royal Oak sandwiched in between two circular, a circular top and bottom. So in that sense, yes, they made a circular watch, but they put the body of it in the Royal case that would keep the AP DNA within this watch, even though it's circular. It's actually a ingenious way to do it. I think it's could not have actually been done any better than the code. And if you'll notice, it's got hollowed out lugs, which also looks amazing. A very beautiful finishing, or probably the best finishing of any of their collections, I would say. Just you look at the difference between the height harsh and brushed on the middle case, the alternates, as well as on the bezel. It's very fine, as well as on the lugs. And the scalped lugs, it just looks fantastic. The pushers are high polished beveled edge. satin finish on the sides. I mean, they really get a great job. Even the crown is done to perfection. All right, and if you notice on the bezel, I should listen to the ex-CEO talk about this watch. They decided to make no bezel, which means they push the watch display up to the very edge, just like a telephone. Now it does. So, yeah, the pitch is really beautiful. It's always been beautiful, and it's remaining beautiful. That is not changed. It's 41 millimeters from thumb to index. It actually wears smaller than a Royal Oak, even though they're both 41, and the reason is because there is no integrated bracelet that makes the watch swear out. So it is quite a nice fit for almost everybody. And it has a thickness of 12.6 millimeters, not terribly thick either, about the same as the Royal Oak Chronograph, I believe. So, and which makes sense because they actually use the same movement as the Royal Chronograph. So yeah, very, very nice, okay? So that part hasn't changed. What has changed from that is the next part we're going to talk about, arguably the most important part of the watch, because it's the part that you have the most interface with and you look at the most often. So this part I'm going to describe. And it is the dial. And not only is the dial, it's also the hour markers and hands. So let's go through it and talk about it. First, the dial is, as you see, green. It didn't make green before. They made blue, purple, a bunch of other colors. They didn't make green. So they have brie. And you'll also notice that it has a sort of guilloche dial, but it's not like your tradition of guilloche. It's like this concentric circle guilloche emanating from the center going out to the periphery that gets wider and wider and gives the watch more depth. When you look at it, it looks much more, and it does not have the same pattern, for example, like the Royal Oak, which is a Van Tapisserie, which is also beautiful, but it's reserved for the Royal Oaks. They give this really nice pattern for their codes. It's the first time they did a pattern like this. On the first generation, they get a flat dial, which is just a lacquered dial, painted flat. Sometimes it was snowed. Okay, it was nice. It was cool. But this one, it really adds another level to it. So the dial texture is amazing. And then if you look at some dials, they are also done with a texture, but they're not done to the same texture as the rest of the watch. Oh, the rest of the dial concentric circles, they have an alternating pattern, which really looks fantastic, you ask me. That's one of the best I think that they do. Okay, so that is the dial. Oh, we're not down to dial actually. Because it's the one that has chased. You can also see that they have skeletonized hour and minute hands. And why is that important? Well, that means you can see through their hands, get at the counters. Even with the charters are running. So it's quite a nice way to be able to still see the sub-dial counters as well as read the time, because sometimes those hands actually block. So that's why they had a skeletonize there. Another reason they had a skeletonize is that they can put luminescent. They have a wider hand. Before the hands were smaller and they were made of gold, which is nice too, but in practically speaking, you could not read it at night, which was a big drawback in the first generation. Now, having luminescent on the hands, it means you could read it, which is, you might think that's not that big of a talking point, but it actually is. It's not very convenient to not be able to see your watch in it. So they get a luminescent on the hour hands as well as on the hour markers, and made the hour markers thicker, which makes it easier to read. And yeah, because of those things that they've adjusted and fixed in the first generation, this watch becomes not only more practical and becomes more beautiful, in my opinion, and because of those things I just stated. And all done in green, it just really looks fantastic, including the inner bezel. Yeah, very, very nice. Very beautifully done. I have to say bravo on this one. And in green, actually, a lot of greens I kind of think suck. For example, I have to say, Patek Philippe makes a green in their Aquana. It's like this faded camel green, like, I don't know what it is, just some ugly green, really. I know it's terrible. Yeah, I think it always makes the watch look terrible. I don't like it at all. But this is a deep forest green. It matches rose gold very well. I think it looks fantastic. I love it. And yeah, there you go. Okay, let's move on to the next thing, which is a strap. Now the strap here, it must be a camera strap. And in the first generation, AP was making all leather straps. And then they realized that this watch does not really fit a leather strap. So what they did is they made a rubber strap and then they coated it in this way that it looks like a canvas strap, but it is actually rubber. And why would that be important is because when it gets wet, it will not fall apart like canvas would. So it's actually rubber. So you can wear this in the water. Yeah, very, very nice. And it has a gold 18-karat pin, gold tin buckle, which is no surprise. So you can also, I've seen people switch it out for a deployment buckle. It's up to you. But yeah, I mean, it comes on a gold buckle, a pin buckle, that is. That's why the buckle, we probably could sell you for a little bit of money, but we could do it. All right, anyways, that part of the stuff about the movement. The movement was all redone that back in 2017. They said they spent many years on it, which I probably would have to believe. It's a calendar 4401, and it has 381 parts, which is kind of a lot for a chronograph, actually. But it has 70-hour power reserve, which means even though it has a lot of parts, it's still running very efficient because despite having so many parts, they figured out how to make them work in the most efficient manner, such that on a full charge, this watch literally has a 70-hour power reserve, which is not small by any means. It's actually English key standard now. Rolex is following yet. I believe Protect for Beat will finally come along. Richard Mille is still lagging a little bit behind, wrapping around 55 hours or so, 60 hours. So AP is really setting the standard when it comes to these movements. And they do an impeccable finish, one of the best. Why don't I say the best, because there's many bests out there like All of the Zuma, Patek Philippe, Vacheron Constantin, Richard Mille. Okay, Rolex actually is really stepping up the game, by the way, with their Daytona. I looked at their Daytona recently. Their movement also was super duper good, and it's actually right up there with AP of Patek. I know some people might say, "Oh no, it's not." No, it is. If you look at the movement, you just with a discerning eye and haven't seen many movements, or even not seen many movements, just looking at them, you can realize that, yeah, there's a high quality movement. AP is definitely up there with this movement. They have a nice cutout rotor, beautifully done. Okay, enough said about this. Time to try this watch and wear wrist. Now, love, I have 6 foot tall, 200 pounds. I have a 7.5-inch wrist, and you see this watch looks perfect on me. And Code is one of my, well, AP doesn't make a lot of collections, all right? So basically, they make a Royal Oak style or a Code style circular. I definitely like the Code. I think it's a fantastic watch. I've actually been saying that since they released it. That's just because I'm trying to sell you these watches. Well, if I can sell you anything I want or anything you want, Royal Oak, an Osler, AP, whatever, Patek, doesn't matter. But I try to tell people my honest opinion when I give these reviews. I mean, it doesn't behoove me to give you nonsense. Code is really going to do well. And I shouldn't say is going to do well. Code is already doing very well. It didn't do well when it started. That is true. But like anything, when it's first released, when you first release an item, it's, doesn't catch on right away. But it has since been, 7, 8 years now? So now it's done really well. And the second generation, wow, I have to say they finally hit it right on the head. The first generation, they were not bad, which is why they're selling at half a retail. By the way, a retail on this one's about $50,000. We're selling it at Jazztime in the 30s. So look, that is definitely a good reason to go at Jazztime because you don't have to pay over retail. If you're going to buy this from the AP store, you're going to pay $50,000 plus tax. It costs you $55,000. You're going to come to Jazztime where it's sold to you in the 30s. All right, you're saving some good money. You get the exact same watch. You get it right away. You have no waiting for it. And so, look, I really like this watch for this price point. Of course, there's better codes out there that are like $200,000. We're going to talk about those. Though in this price point, the $30,000, $40,000 range for a chronograph, I think this one is probably at the top. This one, the blue one, and look, we're selling it to you at a discount less than retail and selling it to you immediately. So do you want to buy this watch at the lowest price anywhere online? Click on the link in the description below to buy it at Justin.com.
If you want to find out more about the watch you just saw in the video, you can just click below on Show More to see the full description. Then you can check the link next to Model as seen in video, click on it and you will get to the proper page where you can see all the details. If you're watching on a mobile phone, you have to click on the arrow down on the right hand side below the video to see the full description. If you like this video, please give us a thumbs up. If you would like to share this video with your friends, you can use the share button below and share it on any platform you like. If you have questions, constructive feedback, want to tell us about some mistakes or misspeaks, just write a comment below If you want to see more videos like this, you should subscribe to our channel and visit our channel page where you can find all the videos. And if you're interested in a specific watch brand, you can check out our playlists. If you want to check the price for a watch or want to buy one, remember at jazztime.com you always get a steep discount, so you should check the prices with us. If you want to know the price for a specific watch, just go to Google, type in JazzTime, plus the brand, model and the details you're interested in, and Google will find the right page for you. Thank you for watching.